Thank you to everyone who subscribed. We're trying to get up to the 100 mark. And in between the 100 mark, we will be giving another gift. Um, Thanks to all of our subscribers. And we appreciate you all. We will be giving random gifts between the subscribers 100 and once we reach 100 subscribers, 101 subscribers. As soon as we reach 100 subscribers is when we'll start selecting the first person to receive their gift card for subscribing. Um, the There's already been one person to receive the gift, a $25 gift card. But we need you to please reach out to us and email us with your real name and address so that we can mail the gift card to you with a little thanks, a little sugar on top. But one thing I will have to say, people who are participating, please understand we can't give you the gift if you don't respond and with proper information for us to contact you and be able to send you the gift. That it will be done by mail. This is not something that's electronic, so we would need to have your real physical address and your real name. Um, I know some people have some fantasy names, but you in order to receive your gift, we got to get your real name that you can that we can mail to. And even if you have a business, you can provide us with your business name and address, and we can mail it to you to your business address in your business name. But if you have some weird name like um, Jungle Fever 8769, no, we're not doing none of that. We're not doing none of that. We're not mailing nothing. We're not even copying nothing like that and putting it on paper. We will send it to you when you can um, conjure up you a reasonable name. But in the meantime, in between time, we appreciate everyone's participation. Um, the purpose of the gifts are not to entice you, but they are an incentive for you doing the right thing. Um, it, we would suspect that most people would subscribe because we have some good content here, and we're about to get into the content for the day. And I just wanted to start off with a few announcements, if y'all didn't mind. We're gonna take this big old wheel down here. All right. Thank you for joining me. Please leave comments in the chat. The chat is open, so please leave. We have three in the chat now. Thank you for joining me. Okay, what we're gonna be talking about in this broadcast is um, affidavits and calling a loan due. We're gonna be talking about affidavits. All right, and legality. Um, a lot of people don't understand what a right is. In order for people to understand what a right is, they must first understand um, what rights are and who they belong to, and in what cases or what circumstances are we extended a certain level of rights. And the reason why I say extended a certain level of rights is because what I learned from USEF channel, Secure Party Creditors, is that rights and privileges are two different things. Now, as I understand it on my own, rights is not something that someone can delegate to you. Okay? That's not something somebody can give to you. Um, that is the reason why in the Miranda, when they read you your rights, uh, and they just paraphrase it a little bit, by letting you know that you have a right to remain silent. Okay, and what that means is you have a right to acquiesce to all the bullshit they pulling. All right, or right at that point you may speak up. They don't tell you that. The best thing about speaking up is, and I know I teach a lot about people shutting the fuck up, okay? Because that's because people are saying a lot of things that don't go together, and they are saying a lot of things that are inaccurate. And I'm going to get to that very point right now in regards to rights and privileges. A lot of people think they have a right to things because somebody told them they have a right. And it sound believable. It sound about right. It sound like something they wanted to hear. And so, boom, they jumped on it. Now, I have been hearing about this claim the name stuff for like um, ooh, 30 years because when I was young, my a man came to my church and he uh, he was trying to tell the pastor about claiming the name, but he was such a terrible representative of the information that he was very knowledgeable about some aspects of it to intrigue you to want to know more. But once he started telling you all these different, oh, you know, the government, see, I'm trying to get out of the system. See, this what you got to do. You got to get out of the system. And all the while this nigga broke, that ain't, that ain't something that, is attractive or make anyone want to join the movement when you is just trying to skirt paying bills, and you have basically put yourself in hell because now you have excommunicated yourself from the system that provided you all of the your necessities. And so if you are going to do that, then don't you think you need to have all that when you switch over? I'm just asking, because anything that I do got to make sense. Do y'all agree? Type agreed in the comment section if you agree. Type agreed in the comment section if you agree. Anything you do you need to make sense. Need to make sense, all right? And a lot of people are gravitating a certain information and they regurgitating it like they learn, like like they learned something. Now, reading something does not mean that you learned anything. And this message is from Mansa, who preaches and teaches reading, 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 reading. Okay? Read this, read that, read this, read that. Okay? Now, I will get behind him and second that motion that people do need to read. But I want to make um my being very very specific on what I'm getting behind him on. Is that those of you who like to read, who enjoy reading and discovering things and investigating things, okay? This would be my suggestion for you to delve into, okay? Um, One, if you really want to understand how to be sovereign, you cannot do that without the Bible. You cannot do that without the Bible. Okay. Now, other people are doing other processes. They are what is called get by. Okay. They're just trying to get by. Um, that's why they got bylaws for the people trying to get on by. The corpse trying to get on by, the miners trying to get on by. Just let them get on by. And what that mean by get on by is it's like a band-aid. People are hurting. People are being abused by the systems. And some people want to get the fuck out. All right. And some people want to stay in, or they don't care. They've been in already. It's not a really big deal for them to be in or out. They just want relief, financial relief. Okay. And so many of the options that you see online are purpose for that, to offer some financial relief to those who need it and can uh, follow along the instructions well enough to um, create a proper presentment and um, process it for themselves. Now, what a lot of people are not understanding about processing these instruments and the effects of not processing them yourself. Now, here's the deal. If you get a lawyer to do any of these type of documents, you are not sovereign. You are not sovereign. If you get a lawyer to draft these type of documents for you, you are not sovereign. And so if that's your master plan to get a lawyer to draft your extradition papers or whatever you got going on, A lot of people doing a lot of shit, okay? So I'm trying to cover all the areas I can in this broadcast because they all are related. The reason they are related is because, like I said, these are all the different types of frames of mind that people have in this dispensation of time. A lot of people are looking for other options, or you might say way out. You know, they're living in poverty, or if you like me, you have uh, built a lot of wealth and experience that it has been stolen, siphed, stolen and siphed. And so you're at this point of wondering, like, can you ever reach your dreams because of the fact that this was going on, and you might have thought that you could never really reach your dreams at this point because it seemed like every time you do something, you get back, you fall down, you get back up. As Cat Williams say, you falling down, you get knocked down, you get back up. And then that's a part of regular occurrences of life that happen. But when you have people that are intentionally uh, chanting, people need to learn what chanting is. Okay? Chanting is saying the same thing over and over and over and over again. This is the reason why they start chanting or creating these shorts to try to use that as a tool to chant, um, and say the same thing over and over and over and over again. And so, if you have something that's being repeated over and over and over again, please believe that whatever spirit you sent out in that message to be repeated over and over again is a push, what's called the push notification. A lot of people are familiar with push notifications because on your phone you can select whether, no matter what you're doing, that those notifications can push through whatever you're doing and notify you and send a message or pop up to notify you that you have a communication coming through from some type of source. All right. Now, for me, I block a lot of notifications, push notifications. I don't tolerate it a lot, okay? Because push notifications is an interruption in my frequency of what I want to think about right then. And I have a lot of different properties, a lot of different uh, applications in the field. And so a lot of those applications require for you to submit them with an email, and they be acting bad in my email, you understand? So I don't um, have time to be interrupted by every time some irresponsible marketer um, chooses to push notify me about something I ain't even asked to be notified about. Because once you leave that gate open, people always talk about gatekeepers. All right. Now, nobody is a gatekeeper of your prosperity. You are supposed to be the gatekeeper. You are supposed to be keeping the gate. This is why I said people need to get in the Bible and get understanding about who you is, what your responsibilities is. Because having a right is based upon heritage. Okay? Look it up. Having a right is based upon heritage. You heard this here first. Because ain't nobody talking about this. I've been looking around, looking around, looking around. Okay? And it's a lot of people saying a lot of stuff. Okay? But I want to put my 2 cents in and let y'all know how I differentiate between um, good information and bullshit. Okay? Now, this channel right here, um, Christopher somebody, Hauser, okay? The person is real, but I took that picture from a video from a channel that this man got of another man information. He disseminating it on his channel. And now he got more views than the real man who provided it's in the actual video. Now, he claimed that the man is going so far as to doing crimes and scamming people in his name and stuff. And people have been doing that to our record label, Real Raw Records. And it was all on YouTube when the feds bust them and everything. But the feds took over their YouTube channel and all that because they was scamming people and making pretend like they was Real Raw Records, my record label. And and they was doing all kinds of crimes. They had guns. They was all on YouTube, like just broadcasting that they had guns and drugs and this and that, and none of that is associated with our record label. So when I looked up our record label name and title, Real Raw Records, I saw the imposters videos. All they had was videos. They didn't have a real website. We have the real website, and I don't even think they tried to do all of that. They just had a YouTube channel that they were imposing on, and so I mean it's easy to captures people's attention when you talk about record labels and this and that, and especially when you got a lot of people that look like they having a good time and they really just doing it up, and it's easy to trick y'all online and stuff like that, make y'all think that these people just really just living it up and they may be in somebody's damn basement filming this shit, you know. And cause I done seen it. Ain't nothing wrong with filming in your basement, but I'm just saying whatever they portraying to you is a misrepresentation. And what right does that give them say for example, okay, YouTube gave them the channel and the ability to create. They gave them the tools, the platform, um, and then you have a what you call that, service provider that you use to get internet service or whatever to access it. And so all of that is just generic. It's not making you do nothing. There's a lot of people don't have YouTube channels. They only have they only had it signed up with YouTube so they can be able to access um, subscriber based information. But it's still some people that's old school that still access YouTube by Googling stuff. And they Google it and they say, pull up a YouTube video. Look, they use Google how they want to use it. And I be laughing, I be tickled about that, but now I'm learning about sovereignty. A lot of people who I've been trying to correct them because, oh, Lord have mercy. I know some old men, y'all, when they get on YouTube and do a search, you ought to hear them. They say a whole paragraph. Okay, YouTube, what I want you to do, I want you to go back to 1960, right about around 1963, 67, somewhere around up in there. See it? mm. Mm. That's how they access the information. Mm-hmm. That's how they access information. Thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate y'all for joining me. But look, y'all gotta leave some comments. You want to learn about rights? You gotta ask questions. You can't just let people just dispel information out to you. Even if someone dispel information out to you, right? If it's in response to a question, then whatever information they are relaying to you should be in direct response to your question. This is why a lot of people don't know nothing about court or understand. Even lawyers, they fail to understand. When I was in court by my house, the judge literally has to practice law from the bench. to help the lawyer out, which was wrong, right? But he was like, man, what are you doing? This lady is creaming you. And he's a sovereign. And he first started off by trying to degrade me by asking me, are you a sovereign citizen? Um, I said, what is that? I say, the law is sovereign. And I said, I'm a naturalized Texan. So I don't know exact words I said, but I might have even admitted to being a citizen at the time. Because as a citizen, I have rights. The citizen is a person, but it's a general person, such as a consumer. It's a general person, such as a tenant, okay, a landlord. When you use those type of words, they are subject to the law that governs those people or persons. When you want to, and some people think, oh, I want to just get away from the law, I just want to get away. You can't get away from the law. The law is. Okay. You want to work with the law, you got to understand it. If I was in a criminal court, I would not have claimed citizens uh, in the criminal cases. I make no claims of citizenship because I'm not a criminal. Okay. You may say, that don't go like that. Yes, it do. Think about it. Think about it. In my home, I could be a home owner, home buyer. Well, you shouldn't be even a buyer for too long. That's the gimmick that they playing. But moving right along. Or you can be a tenant. All right. A lessor is the same thing. Person that's leasing the property is the one who is leasing it to you. And you are the leasee, so they claim. Okay. Now, when in your situation, if you are the renter, then you are the the person that's rent, the leasee. Now, for me, I was the buyer. I was the buyer, and that invokes a whole another perimeter of laws that protects that kind of consumer, because a buyer fits in is a consumer, but and so in that regard, There are laws that protect the consumer. This is why you'll see me doing I have a little highlight clip of the broadcast where it's stating that the judge is asking the lawyer, is the company then acting as a consumer? And you got to pay attention there. I clipped that out for a reason, because the whole video was in regards to some misappropriation type of deals that misrepresentation type of deals that Amazon is offering its business to business clients. And so the judge was asking, say, well, in that case, would Amazon be the consumer then? You know, and he tried to trip him up with that, right? Knowing blessed well that a business, a corporation cannot be a consumer, only an individual person. If the registered, if it was a company and there was a registered owner of the company, then that person can be a consumer. But no, and it held to the niggity now. Amazon can't be a consumer because Amazon is a corporation and we have shares and stocks. We is Hold on one second. We gotta interrupt. Hold on. You don't know how may I help you? 832-981-1849. How may I help you? You are live. Speak. Oh, they do that. So if you call in, please speak up so that we can hear you, and also so that um, it can be caught through, I guess, the screencasting. Need to speak up. But if you'd like to join in, you're more than welcome. Come on in to put 2 cents in. If you want to discuss what is a right, what is a right? Um, Rights come from inheritance. I say again, and this is the first place you will ever hear this, and this is the only place you'll probably be able to get a full understanding of what that means. Because a lot of people are not understanding that all the promises in the book ain't yours. All the promises in the book is not yours. And what I mean by that is that um the inheritance of the kingdom is for the kingdom. So people who are wondering why you're getting your hand tapped when you fill out these documents, saying that you have a right to the kingdom, and you're wondering why um you getting a tap on the wrist, is because you don't. That pretty much that's the reason. Not pretty much, that's the exact reason why. Um, First of all, um, some people are filling out these documents not even understanding that what you are claiming is kingdom heritage. Okay. And what I mean by kingdom heritage is that the inheritance for kingship is not for people who are lazy, okay? People who um want to call themselves getting out of the system, you know. Those are rebellious workers. They goats. They they have not conformed to uh, the hustle and bustle of society, which is a good thing, but they've teetered over into a rebellious state where now they're like a mule and they just don't want to do nothing. And the ecosystem and the spirit realm does not allow non movement. What I mean is, it don't allow that is you're going to have to keep it pushing. Okay. And if and then you decide you want to try to sit on the clock, all right, you will find uh, that things are just not favorable for you. It's gonna be like you gonna be running in a spinning wheel, all right, and you gonna be running in that spinning wheel, just thinking you going real, 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 real fast, but you ain't going nowhere, okay, because you are going against the grain. If you wasn't going against the grain, you could stop trying to impress everybody on that wheel, running around, running around, running around, running around, trying to impress everybody. And you let that wheel slow down and get the fuck off of it. Okay? That's it. You just let the wheel slow on down to your, slow it down enough where you can get on off of it safely. Um, and then get on off. And I don't mean by um get out of the system. What I mean is get your mind out of the gutter. Get your mind out of negativity. Get your mind in a place where you can see something productive. Get your mind where you can understand what rights really are. Because once you understand what rights really are, then you understand that all rights, which are authority, come with responsibilities. And the first responsibility to our rights as leaders is, and it's going to automatically make you a leader once you understand those rights and responsibilities go together. That's only leaders can understand that. If you don't understand that, or if you contradict that, you're an idiot, you're not a leader. It's that simple. What I'm saying here is not that I know everything, but I know some things is foundational and it's already been proven, and nobody has debunked it with any type of substantial grounds. Now people have rebutted, but a rebut don't mean that you debunk nothing. And this is what's going on when people send certain documents in to different places, right? Now, you sent it over here because somebody said sent it there. You sent it over there because somebody said sent it there. And now these people getting all kind of random ass documents in their mail they don't know what to do with. Yeah, they shredded. It's not in their normal course of business to get this kind of document. So you throwing their paperwork and shit off, they workflow with that bullshit. Because some people be sending documents to places where the people don't know nothing about that. You know, some CEOs, yes, I have to say this because y'all assume that because somebody got a CEO in the front of their title, in some of these companies, a lot of these companies be perpetrating a fraud and they just look big. Start looking down in their records. Let's start looking down in their records and you'll see what I'm talking about. Some of these companies look big, but they broke as hell. They don't got nothing. They getting corporate welfare, try to help them stay afloat, cause they done fucked over so many people. What they thought was gonna take off, it was like, okay, if we get $50 quadrillion, that'll help us where we can stay afloat, you know, until we get our own real money. So we'll just inflate the paperwork and make it look like we got all these gazillions and quadrillions of customers and quadrillions and gazillions of business and quadrillions and gabillions, and it should may only be hundreds. Ooh, I'm busting some people bubbles today. Y'all know Amazon about to get them to the near to goddamn me go out of business. That's why they stretching out to so much shit. They trying to get some more welfare funds. Look, we trying to save ourselves. Give us a couple more trillion to dunk in this terrible idea we should just spend a dime on in the first place. But we all have an idea that it's gonna do better eventually. Bless their heart. And whoever's tongue slick enough to convince anybody who invested in it, I don't invest in them. The only way I invest in Amazon is I'm betting that they ain't gonna last. My best is against the house. It ain't gonna stand. Guaranteed. Um, who else? Tesla. That shit ain't gonna stand. That ain't nothing but a fly by night. Enron. That ain't nothing but another fly by night Enron. I said that. Remember, heard it here first. Oh yeah, people gonna get on their channel, start talking about it, start acting like they got some insider knowledge. They do got some insider knowledge. They got it right from me. hmm But they only got to the extent that I put out there. I could tell you in depth why. Okay, because of rights. They don't have no right to succeed. Um, Tesla, uh, Elon Musk, he don't have no right to succeed, stealing other people's ideas. Facebook don't have no right to succeed. That's all they do is steal other people's ideas. At Google and YouTube, they practice the same bad business practice. But there's a but. I would say amongst all the entities out there, uh, Google is the only platform that at least tried to create a platform to pay its contributors to break bread and dividendize. No, I could make up a new word for this bullshit. When you want to give credit to some bullshit, you gotta make up a new word. They at least did try to dividendize the contract. Okay. Facebook was the first one out the gate before uh not before MySpace, but I would say out the gate, I'm saying that blew up because there was nothing else around. Once all the copycatters once all the copycatters got their little labs and everything like that, start making other little social medias. Uh, Google decided to shapeshift into what it is right now, which is almost nothing back again, because it took all the good aspects of Google and discontinued them because it's some idiot in this creative lab running stuff, and he or she need to be fired. Fired. Out. 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 They're idiots. If you don't, let me tell you something. How I can talk about technical shit, and I don't know nothing about technical. What gives me the right? Okay. What gives me the authority? Okay, that's what right means. And why is what I'm saying not defamation? Okay, it's not slander. What's the difference? See, people need to know, because a lot of times people be hurling out stuff saying somebody stole something, did something, identity theft, and all that kind of shit. And you might have gave the person permission. That's not theft if you gave them permission. And because you acting like an adult when you really was immature, equivalent to a minor. Okay, and we keep on saying using that word minor. Like, why this bitch call me a minor? I'm all kind of grown, you know. Well, because you just all kind of some grown, and in some things we still like children because our knowledge has not grown. Okay, and when your knowledge has, even the Bible say, what was that? I don't know if that was David. Oh, but they was talking about, um, I think Samuel, and it said, see, I pay attention close to words. Um, while everybody reading and listening to all the other stuff, I kind of home in on little things that I think, wait a minute, something. This is important right here. I prioritize certain words. And when the Bible was talking about, I believe it was Samuel, all right, but give upon him, what it was saying is that it was describing him. And when it was describing him, and it was saying, giving a history of his growth. And you would assume that the narrator describing his growth would have said that this person, um, grew up to age such and such and such, and this happened and that happened and so forth, and this is what happened. How may we help you? Are you authorized 832-548-0532? You're on there. Do not call. Then. You don't want to speak up and you interrupting my broadcast? Okay, back to my point. Now, it's about rights and authority. Okay? They just let me know I'm embarking upon some new content because I get a message every time I'm saying something ain't nobody said before. Okay? Now, I already know that a lot of what I'm saying people don't know nothing about, so they have not said this ever before. And so this is original content on this channel, a lot of original uh, uh, issues on this channel. Okay? Real talk. A lot of original issues on this channel. Official essentials. This is our community. And it's a community of not just original content, but most specifically content where you can get some practical information and you can get some uh, understanding that you can relate to, because a lot of people are disseminating knowledge above their heads, and therefore when they disseminate it, oh, it sounds intriguing to those who have never heard it before. But at the same time, are you learning anything? Are you learning anything? Um, Hearing someone else speak about the law, pertaining to the law, or hearing someone else tell their perspective or theories. Now, a lot of people don't understand that some of these things that people are saying is their theory. It's called a theory. And remember when you was in school? Oh, I'm probably making you go way back. Come back on, just come on back with me. Just take your time, like Betty Wright said. I'm gonna wait till y'all catch up. Now, travel on back when you did your theory when you was in science. They taught you about theories of science and what they believe to be true. That does not mean that it is in fact. I said that they believe to be true. Okay. Um, just quoting a bunch of random acts doesn't prove that a person has violated you. Okay? Because you have not proven, if you have not displayed in any calculatory manner that indeed the person that you're claiming to have caused you harm is in fact the person that has done it. I notice that a lot of people will sue the wrong person because they're not understanding rights. The only way you sued the wrong person, or you made the wrong claim, or court told you made a claim upon which you have not made a claim upon which the court can grant relief, which means you don't got nothing they can do nothing with. Okay, you don't got nothing. You didn't present any. It's not that you didn't have a claim. What they are trying to help you and give you a little notice, a little maturity notice, a little push notification. You fucking up. All right. You trying, baby, but you're fucking up. All right. Uh, Go back to the drawing board and look at the case so that you can determine if, in fact, the person is in the wrong. And a lot of times people can't see where they are in the wrong because they one-sided. They only want to think of how they can get some money out the other person. Back to the rights. You don't have no right to get nothing out of that other person. And so that's why you couldn't even put your claim together good. And that's why your claim got dismissed. Or that's why when you went in on summary judgment and you didn't have no kind of documentation to prove the merits of your case or anything. You was totally relying upon the judge just taking your side because it's business as usual. But I want you to know they got some sovereigns out here that's polishing up their skills and they learning how to properly state a claim, a counterclaim. If somebody uh, say, I want to sue you, I'm going to sue you, you ain't know you can say, okay, I'm going to sue you back. Easy peasy. A lot of times, people will drop. Don't interrupt me while I'm talking. A lot of times, people will drop their case because the person counterclaim was so cold and so calculated and so detailed. They wasn't ready for that because, like I said, they was only looking one-sided. Now they done invoked a real lawsuit upon themselves trying to sue you for a fake one that had no basis, no evidentiary substantiation. It's not substantial. They're just based on what they thought they was going to be able to get away with. And just like the lawyer who met me in court, I shut him down on the record. He underestimated my skills because he should have paid attention to the fact that all the while, first off, okay, I had the behaviors of a regular minor by not showing up, but that was an accident. I mistaken the court date because I had another issue coming up around that date, and I mixed up the dates. So once I realized I had mixed up the dates, I ran up to the courthouse, which is not far from where I lived, and I let them know that I had made a mistake. Well, do you know they had already made the judgment against me and everything, and I was there that morning, and the case was there that morning too. They made no allowances to for me to correct the matter. Okay, so I said fine. Um, what can I do about it? Now, at the county clerk office, they are not supposed to give you legal advice, okay? But they will play games sometimes by telling you that little statement to throw you off, okay? It's nothing to get angry about. Just be persistent and ask questions until you get an answer. And let them know I'm not asking for legal advice, I'm asking for resources. Do you have any documents, forms that I can fill out, and be very specific. Now, that's with them damn pre-made forms that's at the courthouse. Is there for the amateurs, for the babies that don't know how to write up a case, okay? Now, or a petition, or what a form, an application, whatever you want to call it, they all the same. So, also, people who do not know how to fill out a claim, they cannot tell you how to make your claim. Okay? They can't tell you, okay, you it sound like you got to breach a contract, sue for breach of contract. No, they can't do that for you. Okay? That's what they mean by they cannot give you legal advice. But I will tell you this, and they'll give you that little notice to refer to a lawyer, and and that's a gimmick too. As we talked about earlier, how they have these middlemen, with so-called licenses, to try to help you do some shit you've been doing, defending yourself all your life. All right, if you've been working all your life, now all of a sudden you need a piece of paper to do that. All right, now that's not really valid, but we gonna move right along because that's not what this broadcast is about. What it is about is you understanding, me understanding, us understanding that in the words US, if you are in the US, if you're in the UK, it's UK, I think. All right. But whatever your letters is, it don't really even matter what your letters is. Okay? Stick to, see, a lot of people get off into the semantics when they are not important. Okay? Because it don't even matter wherever, whatever your letters is that represent you in your country where you at. All right. Now, I don't care what country you in. Natural law abide. All right. So that's why I said that. Because I already know natural law abide anywhere, everywhere. Okay. Natural law do. Now, even in the communist countries, like the United States and the UK and all that, China, natural law abide. The only difference is that they have the corporate veil that is so thick that there's an appearance that this natural law don't even exist here, you know, because it's kind of like hell. Anybody living in a communist country is living in basically in living in hell. They're not allowed, they're not allowed to think for themselves, and if they even remotely do anything that's contrary to the beliefs of their dictator, they could suffer punishments that are inhumane. It's inhumane to control the thoughts of another that much, where they don't have the freedom to think their own thoughts, and it stifles creativity. Um, in a lot of the countries where they have a lot of control over the constituents, they stifle a lot of creativity. And I guarantee you, a lot of people have, a lot of secret, beautiful talents and gifts and, gifts and expressions that are liberal, but they have to remain hidden because they contradict the dictator's uh, system or beliefs. And in order for him to control his subjects, he want them to think one mind, one way. And so God is not like that. The creator of the universe created things to grow. Now, he also created, in creating balance, he created things to die, right? Grow, and in a cycle of time, or in a cycle of its um, existence, it, I didn't want to say a cycle of time because each plant or each living thing don't have a set time or cycle that they're going to live. That is contingent upon the living thing. I was reading or watching videos or whatever about fungus, okay? And organisms, 'cause I had gotten a fungus on my hand. And I'm always washing my hands, I'm always dealing with bleach and so forth. And I was wondering, how in the heck did this happen? How did I even get this fungus on my hand? I'm the one diagnosed myself that that's what it was, because it had an itching sensation, sort of like athlete's feet. So, come to find out, when I washed my husband's feet, and I didn't wash like the cracks of my fingernails. I washed my hands, but I didn't wash the cracks of my fingernails, and it allowed that fungus to grow. It left it in a little, crack in a little crevice of my fingernail in my cuticle area, in the base cuticle area, and it festered and grew, and it kept growing until my fingernail was ugly and brown, right? And my fingernail bed was so brown and decrepit and crunchy looking. It had humps in it, and it looked like it was gone. I mean, no hope. This is not gonna be able to be fixed or corrected. And I've seen people hands like this, and I told them how to correct theirs. And this is before I got it. So, of course, when I saw that this was happening to me, um, I got on it, started treating it. And once I did, it healed, it's back normal, even to the point where if you saw my nails now, you wouldn't know even which finger I was speaking on that was affected, because I cured that. I cured it completely. You know, I didn't just put something on it to stop it from getting worse. I put something in, I treated it, and I dipped my hands in Clorox, first of all, and I let my fingernails, I rubbed in my cuticles and everything, and I use bleach concentrate, which is a salt compound. Remember, you heard this here first, which is a salt compound. All right. And what it does is purify. And that is the reason why I use it. And some people, hear me talk about bleach all the time. They're like, oh, you're just a bleach fanatic. But no, I'm not. I went to the library where you can look up patents and all the ingredients of anything. And I looked up the ingredients of Clorox. And basically what I saw and read was that as you, uh, break everything down, that it kept saying um, sulfate, like words that are derivative of that, sodium. And as anybody who knows anything about the names of the different elements and so forth, that sodium is salt. And so when you see the words, you won't say salt. It'll say sodium or some type of derivative of sodium. And as I began to research it and found that out, indeed, I understood, in fact, that this is the reason why using this product the way that I use it works. And it's because of the natural elements of salt, and then it pulls the skin together and rejuvenates the skin because we are the salt of the earth, the Bible says. And even there's a scripture that um, likens us to the salt of the earth, and then you can also relate in the natural where when you cry, okay, and it's salty, your tears are salty. When your nose run, and it may mean you it accidentally go in your mouth or whatever, and you salty. When you sweat, and it's super, super, super salty. Okay, and so now you have all of these different excretions, whatever you call it, coming from the body that create liquids, not create liquids, but dispel liquids, secretions from the body that are salty, that are salty. And so you got to think, where, uh, if when your body is expelling is salty, then quite naturally, anything on the outside, the surface of the body could respond to salt. Okay? And so I, um, by deductive reasoning, learned to use Clorox for many different purposes. Okay? And I do not use any scented or fragranced items because I have allergies and a sensitive skin. So you might ask, what does that have to do with rights? Okay. Now, what that has to do with rights is this, is that when you understand what your rights are, okay, and you understand um, what should have been during a contractual agreement. In other words, you know what you wanted, right? Okay, I'm just saying what I want specifically, right? I'm I'm verbalizing what I want specifically. Okay, now when you go into contract and you want to be sure that the person who you are communicating to understands you fully, then you need to write that out and communicate that fully so that the other person doesn't get the wrong understanding about what it is that you want. Okay, like some people are like, okay, I sent you a letter of estoppel. You know what that means? And you're like, no, I don't know what that means. That's why you were supposed to have wrote that explanation out in the letter you sent. Even in the bill of exchange, it say when you send a bill, because basically you said if you send a stopper, you sending them a bill, okay? And so this is a different aspect when you take on the collector. Okay, when you take on the position of the collector, you the one that's stating a claim. All right, and people not understanding that. You got to understand what rights the defendant has. And what rights do you have as a plaintiff? If you are a plaintiff, then you don't have any rights. The defendant is the one with all the rights. What you have is a right to present your claim good enough to not be kicked the fuck out. Okay? The defendant is the one with all the rights. People need to stop thinking that because you are what they call the defendant, that's how they make you think that you are in the lower position. Okay, when a person answers a claim, even if they are the defendant, when they answer it, it automatically puts them back in a higher position in the court. Okay, with the last word. You know how people say, "Oh, you always trying to get the last word." Okay. If somebody sends a complaint, they got the first word. Somebody send the person responds with the answer, they got the last word. Okay. But it automatically becomes superior to the first. Okay. Then they have to present evidence to knock it down. That's what makes them. You never did have to present no evidence to knock down what they had to say. You only had to deny it. That's why the defendant is in the most desirable position. If you really think about it, the defendant in court is the one that has the most rights, because in all of the rules of procedure and everything, and I'm noticing a pattern, the person who is the defendant, okay, is the one that's got to scramble around and file this motion, file that motion, and file this motion, and file that motion to try to defend themselves from the bullshit you threw out there. All right. But that's what normally happens when the person takes on the mindset of a defendant instead of taking on the mindset of a defendant in these modern day terms. Think of a defender as the old with that gothic days. You know, a defender was like a knight, and it was a savior, and it was the one that was in the right, and it was the one countering evil. See, that's what a defender is. That's why they call it a public defender. Okay, why is the word defender a bad word when you are the defendant? Okay, when a public defender, okay, a public defender cannot be prosecuted. A public defender is immune from prosecution. A public defender is the people's voice. That is the reason why the public defenders, people always, now they're starting to call them prosecutors. But you left out the real term that it originally started with, okay? And that's how they change your mind and thinking something is that ain't. The public defender. Stop calling them prosecutors and then you can get it. Because They don't have a right to prosecute nothing. They only supposed to prosecute on behalf of the people. The U.S. and the U and the S in U.S. stands for United Securities. United, United. Okay, United, United Securities is what uh that basically stand for. Okay, and no, I don't have nothing that you can reference to verify if I'm right about that. Um, all I can tell you is it's not even important if I'm right or if I'm wrong. That's the reason I went on and throw that out there. It's not important whether I'm right or wrong about that. The important thing is that you understand that you are a constituent, and I am definitely right about that. Okay. If you went to school at any time and you pledge allegiance to the United States of America, which stands one nation under God, indivisible, one nation, in one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, to the republic for which it stands, and all that shit. I done mixed it all up. I done dyslexic it and everything. But the point is that all of those different declarations, they're declaration statements, and they had you rehearse that in school, and you had no clue why, and you stood up there and they told you you had to put your hand across your heart, and you seen other people whose families were sovereign. You ain't paid them no, never mind, I did, but I didn't know nothing why I was, what the reason was, but I did notice that people who were of other religions, who their parents told the school during the Pledge of Allegiance, we don't do that. We don't do that. And so their child had to stand up during the Pledge of Allegiance or uh, be set aside. Okay, because their parents let the school know that according to their religious beliefs they don't believe in doing pledges. So don't have my child doing no pledges. Um, it's a religious belief. We don't do pledges. Um, and the reason why we don't do pledges, give oaths, is because you can't um, make an oath on your own head because it don't even belong to you. So if you don't even belong to yourself, how you gonna lend yourself out to people? It's sort of like that. So, in other words, you may ask me, okay, well, why don't I belong to myself? Well, I'll tell you why. See, this we really get into understanding rights. Okay, understanding right. Let's get it. You are a individual person, human being, natural being, however you want to state it. You are one of a kind, okay, of species, one of a kind of species. Someone may look like you, have your features, similar features to you, especially when people are related. They have similar features, and some even have like their vocal boxes are very similar. You hear one, it sounds like the other one. It's that way with me and my sister. If you hear us on the phone, you may think it's one or the other. You may think it's her. If it's me, and vice versa. So in that regard, individuality is very important. It's extremely important in the ecosystem. And the reason individuality is so important is because your distinctive nature adds to the community of human beings. When you speak, when you laugh, uh, those vibrations entered into the ecosystem has an effect just like a ripple when you throw a rock into the water and it starts rippling, you know, and you didn't realize it, but because you just playing and you just randomly you just want to see how the rock respond with the water. You don't care what kind of earthquake you may set off in the ocean world, cause a trembling or cause them to be disturbed or anything. You ain't think about none of that, okay? You just threw that rock in there. And see, and I learned this late in life, and I didn't mean to do it. Uh, I found out that you can't tap on the aquarium where fishes is at. And the reason you can't do that is because when you do that, you make them nervous and you stress them fishes out. You wonder why your fish is dying. And when you just lightly peck, and tap on that fish tank, it's like a big earthquake and a tremor in their ear. It's loud and it's scary and it make them fearful. They think something bad is finna happen and make them nervous. And of course, nothing ever happens to them because nothing was gonna happen because you just being an idiot tapping on there and not knowing what kind of response they would have to that or what it's doing to them. You just, hey, little fishies and this and that, whatever you talking to them and stuff, and you just a tapping, tapping on that uh fish tank, not knowing you setting off an earthquake up in there. And um, they used to make them tanks real thick, the glass around that. It started being cheap asses, but they used to make that glass real thick, and I think that was basically probably to soundproof a little bit. Their tapping, also to hold uh, large amounts of water. You need something strong, because water is very powerful, and it'll gush out of that, and it'll find a seep in there and gush out of there. So they seal it and create it real thick. But also, I think in you know how you create something to have a multiple purpose. It's like we use our phones for more than one purpose. Okay, and so I think that thickness of that glass is multi-purpose. But in any regard, now y'all know, don't be going around tapping on fish tanks. How does that relate to our topic? Well, I'll tell you. Okay, when you filling out documents and you threatening people and you basically going around tapping on tanks, fish tanks. because you scaring the hell out of people and you ain't gonna even do nothing because you don't even know what to do next. And for some people, they just getting a kick out of, okay, but now when somebody do you back now, don't you fret. Don't you fret. Because you was just threatening just to be threatened. And some people, when you threaten them, they they take that personal and they get ready and they start suiting up and booting up, baby. And I'm one of them people. Don't threaten me. I'll suit up and boot up on you. You understand? Um, what I mean by that, I start documenting. If I look like, if it look like somebody, the type, because I pick up on people's natures. And if when I see people greedy, most greedy people like to sue. I've been done all kind of wrong, and that was my first choice to want to sue. I only had to default to suing when people are non-compliant and they know that I properly present my case, that they need to offer uh, some type of remedy. Okay, in other words, could correct their wrong because I have a right to sue. Now, just because I have a right to sue, does that mean I have to sue? No, it does not. That means that I have the right of way, like when you on the street and and it's your side to go, and the green light is on your side. So you have the right of way. Do you have to go? No. I have, you have, and everybody else have sat there at the green light daydreaming and missed the light. If nobody behind you to harass you and blow at you and tell you you holding up progress, you sit there and daydream, look around at all the people at the bus stop and uh, 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 the people in the middle of the road panhandling and so forth. Them motherfuckers will definitely make you miss a green light with their shenanigans. And the point is this, is you can't be chunking rocks from a glass house. A lot of times when people are accusing the person of something, say for example, you was late on paying a bill, all right? Now the whoever the light company is, uh, they is accusing you of not being a person of integrity. They're accusing you of being a person who don't handle their financial affairs. That's the accusation that they're making without like using those exact same words. So since they don't ever use those exact same words, you're not understanding that's exactly what they're doing. And so since they are making accusations to you, oh, it seems like you forgot that to pay this bill, and they trying to be funny and saying you forgot to pay your bill. And so you send them a letter back and you say, apparently you must have forgot that uh, that this is a contract where um, you borrowed money from me, or use my name, not borrow money, but use my name and my signature as collateral on the loan. That's what I remember. Okay? And that's because you just caught amnesia. You caught amnesia, and it was temporary. You back now. You know? Like, oh yeah, I did sign a contract. And then I accidentally was sending you money, not realizing that, oops, you're supposed to be sending me money about that. From now on, to process this payment, I need you to send me that coupon on that bill. And when you send me that bill, I'm going to process it according to the bill of exchange. And the bill of exchange it don't say, uh, put all these stamps and notes and stuff on the bill. It say, uh, it should have instructions. It should have a name. It should have a to, and it should have a from, just like a letter, or just like a check. It should have to, pay to, and it should have the sum of money that need to be paid. And that sum of money need to be wrote out in words and figures. Words and figures mean write it out. Write the words out. If it's $1 million, you write the word 1 million, million, dollars, dollars, $1 million. Okay, now your bills aren't $1 million, so I'm just giving you an example of how to write out words and numbers. Of That's what the bill exchange means when it says write out the amount in words and figures. That's what words and figures are. Okay, those are the words of the number. Now, when you write out the figures, is the actual numbers of the numeric amount. Okay, the numeric amount should be wrote out in words and figures. So how you write it out in figures, you write the numbers of the figure. You know how people say you make six figures, so you would do $1 million to write out $1 million. You would write six figures, 6 zeros behind the one. So 1 0 0 0 0 0 0, and then the decimal 0 0 if you want, but you can just put the 1 and the 6 zeros and put the number sign in front of the 1, and that would indicate that you are not referencing, say, for example, 1 million subscribers, but you are indeed and in fact writing out a note for $1 million. Okay, or when you process these type of documents, they are considered notes. The top of the bill is the bond area. You can go to USEF's Secure Party Credit to learn more about bonds and notes. But it is understanding uh, both portions can be considered as the bond. All right, can be used, can be, and that's when people know how to and what process go with what. That's why I said can be. And since there's a lot of different processes, let me keep it simple. Fill out the coupon. It has your name. Put pay to you, and write the words pay to the bearer somewhere on the note. And I've seen instructions in the bill of exchange to endorse the note, and that's it. And it can even be endorsed in blank. You don't have to put an amount. And on the date area, you do definitely need a date. I don't know if I mentioned that. That is, you do not have to have a date, but in the place of a date, you can have instructions, such as pay on by, you know, in a month, in a week, on demand, uh, deposit on demand. Um, and so those are instructions that if you're paying, if you're giving instructions to pay on demand, it don't matter what date it is. Pay it right now. That's what that means. So that bypasses all dates and time limits and all that old kind of bullshit. But I think I've given you all enough for now, so we're going to end this broadcast, and y'all leave comments. Let me know if y'all are enjoying the content.